I'm Mike Goodpaster for The Grueling Truth, and as always, The Grueling Truth is powered to you by betting.net. Go to betting.net, find all the best deals, find where you can legally bet in the state you live in, whatever state you do live in. It will guide you to the place you can legally bet. All right, guys, we are here. It's opening day. Baseball started. I know a lot of you guys have maybe never bet baseball before. If you haven't, that's what we're here for. Now, baseball is a little bit different than betting on football or basketball. Baseball is basically more of a money line game where you got money line, you got prop bets, you got a run line. But really, the money line is where you can make the money here. And volume betting is a lot bigger here than the NFL. It doesn't mean you go bet every game, but you're just picking the winner here, and you got to know what you're doing. So today, we are here to explain exactly how to bet on baseball. So let's go ahead and let's get started. What we're going to use today is we're going to use FanDuel. All right, FanDuel is where I usually bet. Caesars Sportsbook, all great sports books. But when you look at this, when we talk about the money line, we look at the Milwaukee Brewers, Chicago Cubs. Right now, if you were to bet the Chicago Cubs to win on opening day, say you bet $100, you win $146. Now, the favor's the Milwaukee Brewers. If you bet $100 there, you only win $57. Not a lot of bang for your buck there. But when you look at run line betting is something I try to stay away from. You know, the money line, you just have to pick the winner. Nothing about that. But when you get to, the spread, as you look at this, almost every one of these games is a run and a half. The issue with the run and a half, it makes it tough to make money when you're betting on baseball, when you are using the run line. At least that's the way I feel about it. And when we look at the run line, if you take the if you take the Cubs, all of a sudden that 1.5 run drops them down to plus 110. So if you bet the Cubs to lose by a run or win the game, you're making less money than what you're betting. When you compare that to if it's a one-run game, where's the value here? The value is to just bet the Cubs. It's $146, which is a $46 profit over top of which you bet on top of that. Now, if you look at the Brewers, if you want to bet the Brewers, you go minus 1.5, so they have to win by 2 runs. $100 bet doesn't pay you anything right now. That didn't work out too well, did it? That's what you get when you do live TV. But a $100 bet pays you $90.91. So yeah, give it up winning by 2 runs, but it's a huge risk in baseball. Now, the other thing you can do is you could go with the run line. The run line in this is over 10 or under 10. So if I bet that this is going to go over 10 runs for the game, and I bet $100, the payoff's $96.15. If I go with the under here, and I bet $100, the payoff's $86. So to me, I would almost bet the run line, and I don't really like to bet run lines that much either before I would bet the spread on this. Now, there is a parlay you can do that I don't think is a bad idea, because if you think the Brewers are going to win and it's going to be more than 10 runs scored, you can parlay these 2 games together, and when you bet the $100, you almost double the money. It goes to $194, so you made $94 off of it. Now, if you wanted to take away the Brewers winning and you think the Cubs are going to win and it's over 10, and you bet $100 here, and then we're talking. Then you've got, $100 to win $451. So if I'm betting a parlay, I'm going to go a money line with a total. Now, parlays are something that generally I'm going to stay away from, because I think a lot of sports books, I looked this up today, a lot of them, over 50% of their money is made off of people doing parlays. And when you talk about a parlay, remember, that's betting more than one game at a time. And if you pick 2 games, not that big a deal. But when you get into 3, 4, 5, you're usually going to lose those bets. Now, the one thing I do when I'm betting a parlay, because I will every once in a while, is because you can hit them. And if you hit them, it pays you a lot of money. But the risk reward is huge here. And really, if you spent 7 days and bet a 3-team parlay all 7 days, you're going to be lucky to win 2. All right, unless you just get hot. So if I'm going to bet a parlay, though, the way I would do that And I'm not telling you this who I think it'll win the game, because this is basically just showing you guys how to do it. But say I like the Brewers, who are a favorite. I take them. I got the Cleveland Guardians. They're a favorite. So I teamed two favorites there. So I look down and I'm looking for an underdog that I think has a really good chance to win. And it doesn't have to be a huge underdog, but let's say right here, the Angels and Astros. I think the Angels, their over-under in most places is 83 wins this season. I think that's way off. I think this is a team that can win 90 or more games and make the playoffs. But if I go ahead and I bet the Astros, because the Astros, a lot of people think are the better team. But if I bet the Astros at plus 104, and we go down here, all of a sudden, betting two favorites and one small underdog, or one favorite and two small underdogs, pays almost 8-1. So if I take this off and I go with the favorite, and we've got two favorites and one underdog, it still pays almost 7-1, guys. So if I bet $100, it pays $6.99. But once again, remember the important part here is this. People that bet parlays, more often than not, lose. Casinos love when you bet parlays because they win. So if you're betting a parlay every day, say you bet a game for $100 and you throw a parlay out there for $30, as long as you win the game, you're all right. But I would say if you're a smaller gambler and you bet $20 or $30 a game, I would almost stay away from the parlays. I love playing parlays myself because every once in a while you hit it, you just bet $30 and you made $300 or $400. But I'd be really careful with the parlays. They are fun to do, and you can win a lot more money. But the parlays can be an issue sometimes. Now, when I'm betting on baseball, there's a few things that I really want to do here. All right, and number one is avoid big favorites, because odds makers know who the popular teams are. And a majority of bettors or recreational folks are betting on their favorite team, or they're betting on the team they've heard of before. So you've got teams like the Red Sox, Yankees, Cubs, Dodgers. They're going to be overpriced, if you know what I mean. Just because the average Joes, the average fans will take them on, regardless whether they're minus 150, minus 180, or minus 200. So make sure you stay away from that. I would also, take advantage of plus money underdogs. Do your research. See who the pitchers are. Especially this time of year where the weather might be cold. Look up how they did pitching in the cold weather last year or in previous years. It's kind of like a quarterback. If it's bad weather and you got Tom Brady, you don't worry so much. If you got Matt Stafford, you might worry a little bit more. So I would take advantage of plus money underdogs, especially guys that are like plus 115, plus 120, because those are, especially if it's plus 120 and you're playing against the Yankees, because the Yankees, as we said, are always overvalued. So that's probably really more of a pick'em game than a plus 120. Bet against the general public. Same thing we just followed there. The other thing is follow reverse line movement. Baseball just isn't always about taking plus money dogs and blindly going contrarian. Look for those lines that reverse. For example, say the Cubs open at minus 150 against the Brewers. All right? And Chicago's getting 75% of the money line bets. But you see the Cubs fall from minus 150 to minus 135, while the Brewers move from plus 130 to plus 115. Why would the books drop the line to give public Cubs bettors a better number? Because the sharp action came in on the Brewers. So even though Milwaukee is only getting 25% of the bets, the line just moved in its favor, especially when it's going against those big dogs that we talked about that people like to bet. The other thing is focus on divisional dogs. Teams that know each other more, you're more likely to get the upset. We see this in every sport in the NFL. Hell, the Browns beat the Bengals twice this year. It's not that they were better, it's just they're so familiar that it cuts down the odds that this game's going to be a blowout. That divisional dog's got a better chance. The other thing, I just talked about the weather a little bit ago. Know what the weather's going to be. If you bet Cleveland and Kansas City and the game's in Cleveland and you did not check the weather, you shouldn't be betting. All right? Know what the weather is. Another one is know the umpires. There is all kind of major league umpire betting data out there since 2005. And, some teams, some umpires give some pitchers difficulties. So I would make sure that you do that. The other one is shop for the best money line, because you can get different money lines. Whether you're going Caesars Sportsbook, FanDuel, which you can get on the link on the description down below, BetMGM, DraftKings, all these, you may get a little bit better line. So say I'm betting the Reds against the Braves and I'm plus 160 on one, but I'm plus 165 on the other. Definitely bet the plus 165. You're getting it better odds. And like I said before, manage your bankroll. Know what amount of money you can afford to lose. All right? Avoid parlays and teasers because they're traps. They've got the big payouts and everybody wants to jump on them. But, you got to know what's going on here. You can't just blindly bet money, because if you do, you're going to blindly lose money. All right, guys, the other thing we're going to do here at The Grueling Truth is every day I'm going to give you a Major League Baseball bet of the day. You can follow along, bet that, and see how we do all year by doing that. I had pretty good luck last year. But with baseball, remember, it's mainly money line. I would stay away from the run line, or I wouldn't necessarily stay away from the run line. But I also, if you're going to parlay the team you think is going to win with the over-under. It's a lot safer bet than picking 3 different games, 3 different teams. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Make sure you follow The Grueling Truth during the baseball season. You can follow us at Twitter at Grueling Truth. Make sure you go like our Facebook page. But for now, I'm Mike Goodpaster for The Grueling Truth and Betting.net. You've been listening to our How to Bet on Baseball show. Follow around, watch us daily. But for now, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.